Hi everybody, welcome to my channel again. So excited. I have some new content that I want to be given to you, and like I said in previous videos, there's just going to be a list of stuff that I know that I've gone through hard knocks, and I will be bringing it to you. There are a few topics that are going to be relevant regardless of where you're at in your journey when it comes to the legal system. And one of those topics is talking about lawyers, whether or not you have a lawyer, whether or not you're pro se. And one of my super fans, just kidding, it's my mom, suggested that I cover that content. And previous videos I said, please comment anything that you might feel could be relevant. Maybe it's just something that I overlooked at the beginning of my process and didn't know that it could be beneficial. But every little thing that I cover, I feel will be beneficial for somebody at some point in the journey of the legal system. And hopefully this will touch people regardless of where you live or whether or not you have a lawyer or not. But the big topic that I want to discuss today is having a lawyer versus being pro se. And the biggest issue that is really going to be whether or not you have a lawyer or you have to do this by yourself is that what you know, you need to know well, and what you don't know, you need to figure out where to get that information and what you need to do to stay abreast of what needs to happen in your county that your legal situation is happening in. So it's really important, if you have a lawyer, one, that you research your lawyer. Even if you have a current lawyer right now, it's really good to go into the Better Business Bureau and see if there's any complaints about the lawyer that you might have or that you might possibly acquire with a retainer or pro bono. For those of us that have to go through the legal system pro se, it's really important to find in your city where there are free legal services. And sometimes you have to go to more than one location to get those free legal services, and they will give you free consultation and guide you in the right direction. And I've done that myself. Even when I did have a lawyer, I did go and look at some workshops, go to where there were some free clinics. You have to decide what's important: your time, your money, your sanity, your mental health. All of that comes into play, and all of that is really important. What I suggest that you do is get a piece of paper, write down what your concerns are about your case, what your concerns are that you may need research helping to find, and then go with that main topic that you want to talk to that lawyer that's giving free legal advice, because they are limited on what they can give you. The clock is ticking when you visit them. Sometimes it's just a free 15-minute consultation, which usually turns into more than 15 minutes. But normally you're not going to get a lot of in-depth information. You're going to get information that's going to help guide you into a certain area, either through the website, through other agencies that might help you. The other thing that I want to make sure that you guys are aware of is, if you have a job that offers stuff yearly where you can sign up for things throughout the year, or at when benefits package are open enrollment and then it starts for the following year. I personally, if you feel that you're in that situation and you can do that, do it. The legal service that I have that I pay monthly for is ARAG, and it covers a variety of topics: civil, criminal, litigation, divorce, wills and estate. They have a huge list of lawyers that cover very specific topics, and they will take your intake information, and part of what your membership covers is those free consultations through them. And also, you can use more than one lawyer, and I've had to use more than one lawyer. One particular situation that I had required that I had to have a criminal lawyer help me, and just the service that she provided me in of itself paid for that legal service that I had for the membership for that year. Hands down the best thing that I could do. She also has her resources that she was able to help me, because she only handles criminal cases. She was able to help me move in a direction for civil cases that I still needed help with. And she put me in touch with someone who helped me with an additional civil case that I had. And later on in my journey, you will find out what those court cases were. I'm not ready to discuss them as of May 3rd, 2025, but my journey is very transparent. It doesn't mean that I have to tell you it right now, but I am comfortable telling when it is relevant for my channel to be aware of it, because it is something that I had to go through. It is something that I had to learn about, and it is something that's very important to me to make sure that no one else tells my story but me. And I am that type of person, the Chingona in me. If I have something that I have gone through, if someone has already heard about it, it's because they heard it from me. If you did not hear it from me, it may not have happened the way that they said it happened, and it may not be an actual accurate description. Now, because I've said everybody's interpretation of how they perceive things is their interpretation, that's great. That doesn't change the fact that if it involved me, I have no problem showing and allowing my experience and the journey that I had to go through to get to the end of where I was at, to reflect on that. So I can tell you that I've had more than one lawyer with my divorce case that I'm going through now, that I've been discussing with everybody, especially when it comes to the legal system, when it comes to fighting the opposing side and getting my facts and my documentation in order. So it's really important that you are able to find resources that can help you, and that also includes a lawyer. Doesn't necessarily mean you have to have one, but it is good to have a lawyer and get information from them, whether or not you retain them for your legal services. When they know their job, they know what they're doing. And sometimes it depends on who you get. Sometimes a brand new lawyer, people think, they don't know enough. They're still squeaky. They don't, the processes. But those lawyers sometimes are more passionate because they're excited, they're ready to get out there, and they've gone through school to understand what the legal processes are. And then someone that has a little bit more experience, maybe has some double digits behind their work experience, and they just know what they're doing. They know the legal system well enough to understand, I wouldn't recommend this, maybe do this instead. But you have to find your fit, and you have to figure out what works best for you. Because I'm pro se now, I can tell you I've seen both sides. And even if you have a lawyer, your case is always going to be the most important thing for you. And whether or not you're by yourself or someone's representing you, it's always good to figure out how you can help them help your case. And it's really important that you make sure your priorities and the most important information is still what the lawyer sees, understands, and addresses in court. Just because they're the ones asking the questions in the courtroom to opposing party, to expert witnesses, cross-examining expert witnesses, or cross-examining opposing parties' witnesses, doesn't mean that you don't have the opportunity to put those questions in front of your lawyer, so that your lawyer can make sure that those questions are being asked and objections are being raised and documentation is being given to validate what your side is trying to accomplish. It's also really important to know that once you're in the legal system, there's always going to be an uphill battle. Sometimes you're going to be in the verdict's going to be in your favor, or maybe it's not. I unfortunately have been behind the eight ball in my case, and it's really important that you pick and choose where you want to stand on the battlefield. And for me, with my mental health, I'm always going to tie those two together, because I have seen so much change in where I'm at. What you don't know, you don't know. And sometimes you have to jump on the bandwagon really quickly and figure out how to get the knowledge and the information and the facts that you need to help support your side. Even if it's not going to help you, the fact that you know what you need to know is going to help your strategy and ultimately figure out a plan to put in place so the judge understands your perception and the position that you took. So I want you guys to know that we are not bad people because we're in the legal system. Maybe we've made mistakes, and I will speak for myself. I have made mistakes. Have I been the best person that I should be during this journey? No. Have I been the best parent? No. But nobody has. Nobody is perfect. Nobody can sit there and go, I have done absolutely no wrong, and there is absolutely no fault that I can carry to say that I was part of this problem. It's just impossible. We are human, and we are born to make mistakes. As the song from Human League says, we're born to make mistakes. Do you learn from those mistakes? Do you learn what has happened in that process? Did it help you? Did it help the kiddos? Did it help the case that you're fighting for? If any of that is no, then you need to take a step back and you need to refocus on what's important. I can tell you for my journey, a lot of times for a lot of years, I was just in survival mode, and a lot of us are still there. Many days I am still there. Does it matter where I'm at in the process? Yes, it does. Because I have to acknowledge that where I'm at is not where I started, but is it where I want to be for the end result? I can probably say no for myself, and I still have a lot to work on. But that doesn't mean along the way I haven't figured out ways to sustain the good that I've done, the changes that I've made, and the things moving forward that are going to help the kids that are involved, my children that are involved. Regardless of their age, they're still my children. My daughter is going to be 31 this year. My middle child, he'll be 19, and my baby, she's always going to be my baby, but she's 13, and you know, I've seen her life so differently now than even I did when my oldest child, who's 31, switch those numbers, 13, 31, same numbers, where she was at when she was 13. And I have to acknowledge that there's still a lot of growth that needs to happen for my youngest to be okay. And I will work through that journey, and I will do whatever is necessary. At the end of the day, I want to make sure what's right for my kids is in their best interest. And that also means acknowledging that the opposing party is still a part of her life, is still a part of my son's life. And so I have to know that whether or not I win at the end of the day, who is going to be the victor and who's going to be the one that comes away with the best onset of saying, I have the gold. My goal is for it to be my kids. And that means that my daughter has a healthy relationship with me. She has a healthy relationship with her father, and anybody that includes her father. That also includes anybody that is involved in my life, friends, loved ones. And so just taking a step back and understanding the legal system, you need to figure out where you can get that help. My sister friend, Raquel, reminded me, you're being treated kind of like, and I don't want to say this negatively, kind of like how fathers are treated. Every other weekend is what they're trying to get you to have with your child. Maybe you need to go to a lawyer who fights for fathers' rights, because fathers tend to get left behind, and it seems like they're not as important. And I'm seeing that both parents need to be equally involved. But if there are lawyers who can handle those types of negotiations, and I'm a female, but I'm being treated as the one who should have less time with my child, because majority of the time that's what men end up getting, I'm going to go and look into resources that are going to help me in that situation. And maybe they won't be able to help me the way I need the help, but like I said, maybe they don't have the answer, but maybe they know somebody who has the answer. Maybe there's another resource. So I always want to be able to put my feelers out, to be able to say, I am going to exhaust every opportunity. I'm going to exhaust every resource that I can. One, because the more I look into it, the more I can open a door here and open a door there. And that's the goal that I want for you too. I want this to be one resource out of many that you have, the Chingona-Phoenix channel, to say, this is the best option for you. And if it's not the best option for you, find somewhere that could be your best option, and then settle. Give yourself a time frame, because you can literally go down the rabbit hole and be forever searching. But once you find something, figure out what that something is, and if it works for you, make it, stick with it, and understand it. And then if it doesn't suit the purpose, move on. But I want you to know that with this mental journey that we are all on when we are in the legal system, and even when we get out, what you don't know, and you did the best that you could in the moment for what you thought you knew, accept that and be okay with it. Were there mistakes that were made along the way? Yeah. And were there mistakes that you could have fixed? If you didn't know, then you did the best that you could. But once you know better, do better. Once you're aware, create the boundaries so you yourself don't cross them either. It's not just letting someone cross those boundaries and then you say it's off limits. Create your own boundaries. And when when you hit that red line where your boundary is about to, set off the alarm, know that that's your boundary that you wanted, and that's the boundary that you no longer cross. And if that means that you have to take a few steps back, maybe a lot of steps back, and remember what's important, it's going to help you along that journey. So the last part of this process that I'm going to tell you with the mental health, I got to meet with my girls yesterday. My sister's in town. She's in town to see her grandbaby's first birthday. So we all just, talking and enjoying our company and just laughing. And, Raquel, Christine, Cynthia, myself, we're all sitting there having a good time, just enjoying the presence of us, our sisterhood, of us being together again. Just for a small period of time, life stopped for us and we were just friends again. We weren't moms, we weren't adults, we were just four chicks hanging out, having a great time, laughing about things, maybe a few tears, crocodile eyes welling up, and always understanding that, we are each other's support system. And, the one thing that I'm going to take from my conversation with them is the meditation. I've told you guys that meditate, find what works for you, and to clear those chakras is what we were talking about yesterday. And so if you don't believe in it, great, move on. Don't worry about it. But there are websites, there are YouTube channels that will go to meditation. And what we specifically talked about yesterday was Indian meditation. Indian meditation. Finding the music, finding the scents that go along with the tribal music that the Indians use to create this sense of balance for themselves, and it helps clear the chakras. And my question was, how do you clear a chakra? How do you know if your chakra's cleared? And my girls said, you'll know. You'll feel grounded. You'll feel the presence of just space, of peace. Whereas before you might have just felt like confined, constricted. You might have felt like there wasn't a lot of movement. The chakras help you balance yourself out, and they so open you up to things that maybe you weren't aware of. So today's challenge is, if you see it and you hear about it, just go visit, find a free website that has the Indian meditation with the tribal music. Find some scents that are grounded earth senses, like frankincense, myrrh, things that help stimulate just peace for you. And maybe it's not those scents. Maybe it's more like the sweeter scents. Maybe it's the pine. Maybe it's, maybe rosemary. Whatever helps you feel peace, try it for today. Try it for what works for you. The Chingona in me, I will always find the strength in someone else, take from them, bring it into myself. And if it works for me, it's mine. I've claimed it. I've grounded myself in it. And if it doesn't, well, then I just might pass that on to somebody else. But always remembering that it could come back to me full circle. And I'm hoping that this will come back to you full circle also. And it will help you see a space and where you're at that will help you feel okay. You don't always have to be okay every day. You don't always have to feel okay every day. But even if you have a small moment of where you're wanting to smile and you're wanting to see the good today, the happiness that is even there for a small period of time, you don't have to have the entire day to be happy. Just the moment of what happiness feels like again can help bring semblance to where things don't always feel familiar. And with that, I hope all is well with you today. It is beautiful outside in Denver, Colorado. We're about to have Mother Nature take something and change it, because springtime in Colorado is always a challenge with us. But today it's great. I want you to remember, wherever you're at in your journey, you matter, you're important, because for too many times we always tell ourselves, I'm not worth being happy, I've done too much damage to even allow myself to smile. That's not true. You deserve to be here today, to wake up, to acknowledge that it's not the greatest day, and it's okay to acknowledge today is the greatest day. And no one has to understand why you feel that way, as long as you understand that you feel that way. So you matter. I know that I matter, even when I don't believe it. And my girls yesterday reminded me how much I matter. And if no one told you today, you matter. And until we see each other, and until we are within our own selves together again, peace and love. The Chingona in me is alive, fired up. She is ready to fight for you. She is ready to fight for herself. And however you need to find yourself in today's world to make yourself feel okay that you're here, do it. And don't apologize for it in any capacity, because no one deserves anything less than what you tell yourself. And if you don't tell yourself anything, I'm going to tell you today, you're worth everything that you're supposed to have today, no matter what the circumstances are. Love you. Can't wait to hear from you guys. Remember, comment. Tell me what you need. Tell me what I can do to help myself grow, help this channel grow. See you guys later. Bye.